The city never slept. Even at night, the streets buzzed with a mixture of life and despair. Neon lights flickered along broken buildings, reflecting in puddles of rainwater and oil. The air was thick with smoke, dust, and the constant hum of flying vehicles above. Most people hurried through, avoiding the alleys and corners where the forgotten humans and aliens alike struggled to survive. Eli walked carefully along the cracked sidewalks. His feet were bare, cold, and sore from walking all day. His clothes were torn, and the little backpack he carried contained only a few pieces of dry bread and his tattered blanket. The blanket was his most prized possession. It was thin, faded, and worn at the edges, but it had been with him since his parents disappeared many months ago. At night, he wrapped himself in it and dreamed of warmth, safety, and family. Eli had learned to be careful in the city. There were gangs, thieves, and creatures looking to hurt the weak. He avoided all of them, slipping silently through shadows and ducking behind dumpsters when necessary. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, but he pushed it aside, focusing on surviving one more night. That night, the wind was colder than usual. A harsh, biting cold swept through the alleyways, making Eli shiver. He hugged his blanket tighter, wishing it could somehow keep him safe. As he passed a narrow alley, he heard a faint sound, a soft, irregular cry that made him stop. He looked down the alley. Shadows shifted, and a faint glow appeared. It was weak, flickering, like the light from a dying candle. Eli's curiosity overpowered his fear. He stepped closer, careful not to make a sound. There, lying on the cold concrete, was a small creature. Eli blinked. At first, he thought it was some strange animal, but then he saw her face. She was small, no older than 10, with skin that glowed faintly blue. Her eyes were large and dark, reflecting the neon lights of the city. She shivered violently, and her breathing was shallow and uneven. "Oh no," Eli whispered, his heart tightening. He had never seen anything like her. She looked hurt, weak, and completely alone. He knelt beside her, noticing the scratches and bruises on her arms and legs. Her clothing was torn, almost transparent in places. She was cold to the touch, and her faint glow flickered like a dying star. Eli knew he couldn't leave her there. Not alone, not like this. He carefully pulled his blanket from his backpack and draped it over her small body. "Here, this will help," he said softly. She didn't respond, only trembling more as if the warmth was slowly reaching her. Eli sat beside her, wrapping his arms around himself to share a little of her warmth as well. The night was long. Eli didn't sleep. He stayed awake, trying to keep the alien girl alive. He looked for anything that could help: scraps of food in the alley, drops of water in a leaking pipe. He gave her small bites, careful not to hurt her. Each time she moved slightly, he felt a small spark of hope. He whispered to her, "It's okay. You'll be fine. You're safe now. I won't let anything happen to you." He didn't understand her language, but he hoped the words would comfort her. Sometimes she moved her small hand, touching his, and he felt a strange warmth, different from the cold night. It was soft, gentle, and somehow familiar, as if she was trying to tell him she understood. Hours passed. The city outside continued to hum with life, but the alley felt like a world apart, frozen in time. Eli didn't notice the rain starting to fall, cold droplets soaking his clothes. He barely cared. All that mattered was keeping her alive. At one point, he noticed a faint pulsing glow from her chest. It was weak, but steady. He realized she was alive. Relief washed over him like warm sunlight breaking through clouds. He smiled, exhausted, and whispered, "You're going to be okay. I promise." The alien girl opened her eyes slightly. They were bright now, shimmering with a soft blue light. She reached out, touching his hand with her tiny fingers. Eli felt a pulse of energy, almost like electricity, but warm and comforting. He had never felt anything like it. Suddenly, she shivered violently again. Eli panicked, trying to adjust the blanket, rubbing her arms gently. "Hold on, just hold on," he murmured. He dug through his backpack and found a small bottle of water he had saved for himself. He poured a few drops into her mouth. She swallowed weakly, and he could see her glow stabilizing, The night grew colder, but the girl's glow became stronger. Eli stayed by her side, speaking softly, telling stories about the city, about stars, about a world beyond the buildings. He made up tales of brave humans and aliens working together, imagining a future where they could both be safe. As dawn approached, faint warmth began to creep into the alley. The girl's body was steadier now, her glow stronger. She opened her eyes fully, looking at Eli. Though she couldn't speak, he understood. She was thanking him. Eli felt a strange feeling swell in his chest. He didn't know what it was, but it made him happy. He smiled, exhausted but proud. "You'll be okay," he said again. "You're going to survive. You'll go home." Then, in a sudden burst of light, the girl rose from the ground. Eli stumbled back, shielding his eyes. The glow surrounded her, bright and warm, lifting her slightly above the concrete. She looked at him one last time, and for a moment he could see her lips moving, forming words he didn't understand. Then she vanished. The light faded, leaving the alley empty except for the wet concrete and Eli's blanket lying where he had draped it over her. Eli touched the blanket, feeling the warmth that lingered from her presence. He sat down, overwhelmed, his mind racing. Was that real? He whispered to himself. Did she survive? He hugged the blanket to himself, his mind filled with questions. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why was she here, injured, alone, and dying? And most importantly, why did she choose him, a small, homeless boy, to save her? Eli knew one thing. He had done the right thing. Even if no one ever knew, even if nothing ever came of it, he had helped a life in danger. That was enough. As the city woke, Eli walked slowly through the streets, holding the blanket close. People passed him without notice, busy with their own lives, unaware of the small miracle that had happened in their midst. He didn't care. All that mattered was hope, the hope that kindness could make a difference. Even in a dark, cold world, he didn't know it yet. But his simple act of compassion had set events into motion that would change the world forever. The sun rose, casting a golden light over the broken city. Eli looked up, still holding the blanket, feeling a strange sense of anticipation. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew life was no longer the same. Somewhere beyond the city, across the sky and beyond the stars, eyes watched him. The alien girls people had noticed. They would come. And when they did, Eli would discover that a single act of kindness could ripple across the universe, reaching far beyond anything he had ever imagined. For now, he walked, tired but unafraid, carrying only his blanket, his hope, and the knowledge that he had saved a life that mattered, and in the back of his mind, he felt it a promise of something greater, something beyond the cold, broken streets, waiting for him at dawn. The city's streets were quiet that morning, almost empty. People who had been awake late the night before were either asleep or hiding from the cold. Eli walked slowly, still holding his tattered blanket, wondering if what had happened the night before was real. The glow of the alien girl's touch still lingered in his mind. He felt different, somehow stronger, braver, more alive. He passed the alley where he had found her, half expecting to see her again. But the alley was empty, just wet concrete and shadows. Eli hugged the blanket to himself, shivering slightly from the chill. Then, far above the city, a strange sight appeared. A flicker of light. A shimmer in the sky. At first, it looked like a shooting star, but it was too big, too deliberate. Eli squinted, raising his hand to shield his eyes. Suddenly, hundreds of small, glowing shapes appeared, descending from the sky. They were not stars, not planes. They moved in perfect formation, silent but powerful, casting long shadows over the city. The ground trembled slightly beneath their presence. Eli froze. His heart raced. Could it be? No, it couldn't be real. But then the shapes grew larger, resolving into sleek alien ships hovering just above the streets. Hundreds of them. 200, maybe more. Their glowing hulls shimmered with blue and silver light. The city's residents began to notice too, pointing and shouting. Some running in fear, Eli's curiosity pushed him forward. He walked carefully, keeping to the shadows, watching as the ships descended to the alley where he had helped the alien girl. The glow of the ships bathed the broken buildings in a cold, bright light. Then the ships opened. Slowly, one by one, the doors lowered, and hundreds of aliens emerged. They were tall, slender, and graceful. Their skin glowed in shades of blue, green, and silver, with patterns that shimmered like living stars. Their eyes were large and intelligent, reflecting light like gems. The crowd gasped, stepping back in fear. Humans and aliens alike watched in awe as the 200 beings formed a perfect line, silent and precise. At their center, a larger alien, more luminous and regal than the others, stepped forward. This one's glow was brighter, almost blinding. Eli's stomach sank. Was he in trouble? Were they here to punish him for something he didn't understand? But the lead alien did not speak in anger. Instead, a soft, musical voice emerged from a small translator device they carried. "Child," it said, "you saved her. You saved our daughter." Eli blinked. His heart skipped. You mean the girl from last night?" he stammered. The translator confirmed with a nod from the alien elder. "Yes, she was gravely injured. Alone. You gave her warmth when none other could. You gave your only blanket. Your only comfort. Because of your kindness, she lives." Eli could hardly believe it. 200 aliens had come to thank him. His hands shook as he held his blanket tighter. One of the aliens stepped closer, extending a hand. Eli noticed that their touch did not frighten him. Instead, it was gentle, calm, and welcoming. The alien's smiled, or at least what Eli recognized as a smile. "You've done a great thing," the elder continued. "In our world, such acts of courage and compassion are rare. You showed what it means to care for another life, even without reward, even when it costs you. You are brave." Eli's cheeks burned with a mix of pride and embarrassment. "I just wanted her to survive," he said quietly. "That is why you are worthy of our trust," the elder replied. The other aliens began to approach, some looking at him with curiosity, others with smiles. A few touched the blanket, which still carried traces of the girl's glow. Their voices were soft, musical, and welcoming, though the translator made it understandable to Eli. "Come with us," the elder said. "We wish to show our gratitude." Eli hesitated. He had never been anywhere like this. The streets were all he knew, and yet something about these aliens felt safe, honest, and kind. Slowly he nodded, and one of the aliens gently guided him toward a nearby ship. The interior of the ship was unlike anything Eli had ever seen. Smooth surfaces glowed softly with light. Strange machines hummed quietly. Floating displays showed stars, planets, and other worlds. The air smelled clean and warm, a stark contrast to the city streets. He was led to a small chamber where the alien girl was waiting. She was fully awake now, glowing more brightly than ever. When she saw Eli, she rushed forward, touching his arm. He could feel the warmth of her energy, soft and comforting. She reached out again, placing her small hand over his heart. Eli smiled, feeling a strange connection he could not explain. You're okay," he said. She nodded, her glow pulsing like a heartbeat. Though she could not speak, Eli understood. She was thanking him. She had survived because of him. The elder spoke again. "Because of your actions, you are now part of our people's story. You have shown what humanity can achieve. Courage, selflessness, compassion. These are qualities we honor above all." Then the alien elder presented Eli with a small device, glowing with soft light. "This is for you. It will protect you, help you survive, and call for aid if ever you are in danger. It is our gift and our promise." Eli held it carefully. It was light, warm, and almost alive. He could feel its power, but also its gentle kindness. "I thank you," he said, his voice trembling. The elder nodded. "We do not thank lightly. Your actions have changed the fate of one of our own. Your bravery and care will be remembered." For the rest of the day, Eli explored the ship. He saw the alien technology, the designs of their homes, and even glimpsed a tiny garden floating in a chamber glowing with plants that shined like stars. He realized that their world was vast, beautiful, kind, but it also respected life above all else. He also learned small things about their culture. They worked together, helped each other, and never ignored someone in need. They valued courage, empathy, and selflessness, qualities Eli had shown without thinking. When the aliens prepared to return to their ships, the elder spoke to him once more. "You may return to your home, or you may come with us. The choice is yours. But know, this our people will always watch over you. You are never alone." Eli thought about the city streets, the cold nights, and the empty alleys. He had no real home, no family, and no one waiting for him. And yet, for the first time, he felt hope. He knew that even in a world full of hardship, his actions could matter. I'll stay here," he said after a long pause. "But thank you. Thank you for everything." The aliens nodded, understanding. "Then we will visit when we can. Know that you have friends among the stars." As they left, Eli watched from the ship's observation window. Hundreds of glowing ships ascended into the sky, leaving trails of soft light. The city below seemed smaller, colder, and yet brighter now, as if it had been touched by their presence. Eli wrapped his blanket around himself, feeling the warmth that the alien girl had brought him. He looked at the stars, remembering her small hand on his chest, her glow, and the promise that kindness can ripple across the universe. For the first time in his life, Eli felt he had a purpose. He had saved a life when it mattered, and in return, the universe had acknowledged him. He understood now that humanity's greatest strength was not in power or wealth, but in courage, empathy, and compassion. He walked back into the city, not as a homeless boy alone in the shadows, but as someone who had proven that even the smallest acts could have the greatest impact. Somewhere in the sky, 200 aliens would remember him, and perhaps one day he would see them again. For now, he held his blanket, feeling warmth, hope, and the knowledge that the universe was bigger and kinder than he had ever imagined. And deep inside, he knew that his story, the story of a boy, a blanket, and a glowing alien girl, had only just begun.